The World Youth 2016 is currently in progress in Batumi, Georgia. There are 3 age categories, under 8, under 10 and under 12, that are currently going on over there. And Indians' performance is not as dominating as last year. We came back with 11 medals. It was a combine from under 8 to under 18, and we won 5 gold medals. This year we haven't been dominating until the 6th round that has taken place. But there is one shining star in the Indian camp, and that is our Praggnanandhaa, who is currently 6 out of 6. It doesn't come as a surprise because he is the top seed in his section. But the main aim of this video is to actually try and decode the way he plays chess. You know, he's just 11 years old and he's crushing his opponents with quite some ease. So the first thing that I noticed when I went through Praggnanandhaa's games is that he's tactically extremely sharp. Okay, in most of the games, whenever he was presented with tactical chances, he took them. But the second thing which is very interesting about his play is that with the black pieces, he's extremely solid. For example, in all the 3 games in which his opponents played e4, Praggnanandhaa played e5, and he was extremely solid. He played all the main lines, like when there was a Geico piano, he would play his bishop to c5 and put his knight on f6, castle, and play by the rules, you know, just play good solid chess. However, when he has the white pieces, things are completely different. In one of the games where he was white, he played knight f3, d5 and b4. So you can just see that with white he tries just about anything. In fact, just after a few minutes we will look at one of his 6th round games which went d4, knight f6, bishop g5. So he went for the Trompowsky. So that's a very interesting observation that I found in his games. Another thing which I really liked in his games is that he looks for ideas. His play is not dull. So for example, if we look at his I think 5th round game against Jonas Jer, if I got the pronunciation correct, the position stood like this on the board. Praggnanandhaa was black. White has a very strong knight on f5, and black has the queenside majority. So it seems like a very evenly balanced position, but here little Praggu, as a lot of people call him, his name is too huge, he found a very interesting idea over here. He played the move g6, and I like this very much because he is ready to give up his h6 pawn over here, and the plan is that after king g7, this knight on h6 is almost trapped, so it has to go back to g4, and then you just take, and after bishop d4 you get the open h file. Your queen will sooner or later join into the attack. You can double the rooks on the h file, and he mated his opponent pretty quickly. So this was a very nice win, and it just showed that he looks for interesting ideas. But if you look closely, there was definitely a flaw in his move g6, because if his opponent were to play bishop takes b6 over here after queen b6, and a very difficult move to find here for white would be queen d2, attacking the h6 pawn. There is no good way to defend it, so you have to accept the piece, and after queen h6, this is a very dangerous attack for white. The knight would jump to h4, or let's say to g5, e into f5 could be on cards, and there is overall a very strong attack in the position. So in this aspect, I would say this was g6 was not such a good move, but in a practical game, it was not easy for white to find the correct way to play. So not at all dull chess on his side. Always some interesting ideas and plans are on show. I think my favorite game for in these 6 rounds that he's played was the 6th round against Kai Yun Hao. One second, is that the name? Yeah, Kai Yu Hao. That's his Chinese opponent, who is just, what's his rating? 1860, who was on 5 out of 5, so clearly underrated. You could never really know what his actual rating would be, something like 2200 or so. But the way in which Praggnanandhaa beat him was really awesome. Let's have a look at this game. So d4, knight f6, bishop g5, the Trompowsky. So when you're playing Praggnanandhaa with the black pieces, you can never be sure what he would go for. And I think this is very common if you see in R.B. Ramesh's students. For example, Arvind Chidambaram also likes to do this. One of the most famous incidents, I think, if I'm not wrong, is knight f3, knight f6, rook g1, played by Arvind. So I think Trompowsky is just quite solid for them. So bishop g5, e6, e4, and here there are, I think h6 is the main move. You get the 2 bishops, and this is a very interesting position. However, black played bishop e7, which is clearly an inferior move. E5, knight d5, took on e7, and knight e7. So white has exchanged the pair of bishops. In a way, he has exchanged his bad bishop because his pawns are on the dark squares. So, and he has space, and he continues his development with bishop d3. So all in all, white has a clear advantage out of the opening. c5, and now this is a nice move, d into c5, not clinging on to his pawn structure, but black will have to give time in order to recover the pawn. So he had to give a check, knight d2, developing another piece, queen takes c5, knight f3. So you can see all the white pieces are into the game. And now a big threat is knight e4 to d6. And here, black played knight g6. I think this was not such a good move, but the way Praggnanandhaa took advantage of it is very nice. I would say queen e2 is possible here. It's a decent move. I mean, you should not be afraid of knight f4, because after queen e4, knight g2, king f1, the knight is trapped. However, I think what the little boy did over here was much better. He played knight to e4, I think wonderful move. Black was counting on queen f5 check. So if you played queen d2, which would have been played by players who want to go safe, king d2. This is slightly better endgame for white for sure, but this is not what Praggnanandhaa likes. He played b4 here, which is an excellent move. When you have lead in development, you must play aggressively. You can't let your opponent settle down. So after b4, queen b4, c3, attacks the queen, and now knight d6 check is coming in. So queen a5, check, king e7, and again a very nice exchange. I think this move is a very clear illustration that when you have pieces which are active in the position, you just exchange your opponent's active piece with your active piece. So black had 1 active piece against white's 3. So white just exchanged one of them, and now he's left with 2 more active pieces, while black would have really nothing going on in the position. So hg6 was played. An interesting question could be, what really happens if you take the pawn on c3 over here? Well, I think after king f1, hg6, rook c1, it's just curtains because the c8 bishop is hanging. So okay, he took hg6 back and white castled. This is what is really nice. He doesn't waste time in the position. So knight c6. Now once again the e5 pawn is attacked. Rook e1, getting the piece into the game. Rook h5. And here I was a little bit surprised with his choice of the move rook e4. I think he's aiming for putting his rook on a4, something like that. Rook b1 was also an interesting move, getting the last piece into the game. But rook e4, and here black fell for this trick, which was actually not such a good move. Knight e5 and rook e5 was nice little tactic, because after rook takes e5 you have this fork. As you can see, tactically you just can't beat him. He's very alert. And queen c3 was another mistake. Black had a way to survive in this position after rook d5, knight takes a5, rook d1, and f6. And here black has two pawns for the piece, and maybe after d5 the knights are not so well placed, so he can fight on, but it's clear that white has the advantage. So queen takes c3 was a mistake. Knight ce5 was played. Well, knight takes fe5 was better, keeping control over the d6 square, but doesn't really make such a huge difference. Queen a5, rook c1, d6. And now another small tactic, not really required, but I think it was okay. He played knight c4, forking the king and the queen. King going back was better on d7, but black played king c5, knight a5, king b4. And the last small tactic which ends the game, because after rook b1 the bishop is lost. Overall, a wonderful game. I liked it very much. Don't be fooled by black players' rating of 1860. It's clearly much stronger than that, and Praggnanandhaa was able to beat him convincingly. I think he's in great shape, and we hope that he comes back with the gold medal. Anyway, he is really creating headlines all over the world right now. There are two players who are extremely famous in India right now, and that's one is Anand and the other is Praggnanandhaa. So all the best to the little boy, and let's see how the last 5 rounds pan out.